Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hello and welcome to the Dork Forest. I'm Jackie Cation. I'm your host of the Dork Forest. Jackie Cation. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. FamilyPetAncestry.com was purchased by me because it made me laugh. I laughed, you guys. And it just points to JackieCation.com. Everything is available on JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com. The Dork Forest is a podcast, and it is available on iTunes, allthingscomedy.com, and probably repurposed by any number of other vehicles to put on a device of your choosing. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio. Mike Rickberg composed and sang the song you just heard, sang with his wife Sarah. Mike will sing again his words to the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Vilmos fixes the website, JackieCation.com. Jackie, if you like the show, there are many ways to support the show, not the least of which, and not unappreciated, word of mouth. Let the people know. You can tag me on Twitter at JackieCation or Facebook. There's a ranger page on Facebook if you want to join and talk to other rangers of the Dork Forest. And you could talk up the show. That'd be a great way to support the show. Very basic way to support the show is there's a PayPal donation button. Knock yourselves out. You may donate hard cash. I have one person who donates via Venmo because she doesn't like PayPal. But I appreciate whatever's happening. You can use the Amazon banner. The Amazon banner is also it's available on dorkforest.com or JackieCation.com. It's a little link to Amazon, essentially. It's a portal to Amazon. You order like normal. It doesn't cost you extra. The Dork Forest gets a bit of a kickback. That is a way to support the show that doesn't cost you anything if you order from Amazon. Another way to do it would be to get merch. If you want a Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt or just the logo Dork Forest t-shirt, my stand-up shirt, the Spooky Reading Girl shirt, those are all available on the store page on JackieCation.com, along with my albums and DVD. You can get all of my albums and DVD as downloadable. iTunes, Amazon, the special, the Horcrux special, this will make an excellent Horcrux special, is available on ComedyFilmNerds.com on their downloadable page. And you can get a hard copy of the DVD from JackieCation.com. I have a new album, speaking of which, just came out March 3rd, 2017, I did good, you guys. I was on the top of the list on Amazon and iTunes, and I never have been, so I'm going to toot my own horn. It is called I Am Not the Hero of This Story. It is available for download from Amazon, from iTunes, and it will be available as a hard copy by the end of the month. I'm getting them printed up, and you'll be able to order them in the store from JackieCation.com. If you are in another country besides the United States, well, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, you can, and iTunes or Amazon isn't working for you, email me, Jackie@JackieCation.com, and I have a way that you can just buy a $10 download card. And I just send you a picture of it, you download it, and then you PayPal me $10, and our lives are complete. These episodes are all from the Joko cruise. I went on a cruise with 1,780 nerds. It was a Dork Forest bonanza, and I recorded 6 episodes, so I'm using the intro for all of them. The Joko cruise is based on a guy named Jonathan Colton, who is a musician and very talented and wonderful, and if you get a chance, it's called the Joko Nerd Cruise. And it was great. And I recorded a live episode, which didn't cost me anything, so I'm just releasing it normal. And then 5 other episodes. None of these are premium episodes because they didn't cost me anything to make, so I'm just putting them out. There are premium episodes at Bandcamp. The dorkforest.bandcamp.com has probably a dozen premium episodes, which were recorded live in front of an audience. Cost me a couple of bucks to make, so I charge a couple of bucks to buy them. They are $2 each on thedorkforest.bandcamp.com. There is also a storytelling album there that I put, which is $4, and then 17 episodes of The Dork Forest before it was pre-recorded that I picked out, that I did as a 10-year anniversary album that is free. if you wish to listen to 17 old episodes of The Dork Forest, my favorite 17, I think, from those first 215 episodes. Anyway, the only other thing at JackieCation.com that you might like to see is my calendar. When I'm doing stand-up, where I'm doing stand-up, it is at JackieCation.com. It is updated all the time. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the things. Anyway, longest intro ever. Let's get into it, because it's awesome. Hey, it's Jackie Cation. I'm still on this ship, you guys. Joko. Could have 1,780 episodes of The Dork Forest, but we're just going to do 5. So, here's my 5th. This might be my last one, because we're on the last day of this journey.
Yep.
Julie Dixon Jackson, welcome to the program.
Hello there.
You are a sea monkey.
I am a sea monkey.
Is this your first time on this cruise?
This is my first time on this cruise.
There we go. So it's hard to embrace the sea monkey thing unless you invented sea monkey,
yes,
or you're 5 years into being a sea monkey.
Correct. We just didn't know what to expect.
But you wanted to come anyway?
We wanted to come anyway because we actually love the act of cruising.
Oh, you're cruise people.
Well, we're cruise people in that
but
we love
in the coolest way.
Right. We don't like other people that like cruising. We don't like the regular cruisers.
And when we say cruising, we're not talking bowl of peas, people.
No.
Get it together.
Right.
Anyway, so,
right.
But you like to get on a ship and
I like to get on a ship and
go out into the ocean.
Go out into the ocean and look at the water and eat the food and all that stuff. But I just don't like the other people that like to do that. And I generally don't like the cruise ship entertainment. And I say that as a former cruise ship entertainer.
What did you do as a cruise ship entertainer?
I was a singer. My very first professional job ever.
There you go.
On a ship.
On a ship as a cruise person.
Yeah, which made me never want to be on a cruise again until my husband talked me into it.
Oh, because he was like, let's go on a cruise.
He's like, hey, I want to. And I'm like, I'd rather die.
These specialty cruises.
Yes.
Might be the way.
It is for us now.
Yeah.
Will only be the way for us now, because now that we actually go to all the shows, and whereas before we hid from the shows.
Fair enough.
Right.
This is the Joko cruise, which is Jonathan Colton, musician and silly man.
Yes.
And he has booked a cadre of silly people to stand around him and do their silliness.
Right.
And so all good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it's not that big. I've never been on a cruise before.
Yeah.
And this is lovely. This is not bad. First of all, it's a giant pile of nerds. Pile of nerds, fine.
Yeah.
They have the same social anxiety I do.
Exactly. And as us as well. Right.
Right. So this is perfect.
Exactly.
You
and
even
there's
get a button that says, no, I don't want to talk to anybody now.
Right. Yeah. The thing is that though there are game nerds and there are cosplay nerds and there are comedy nerds, which is I'm a comedy nerd.
Oh, nice.
And a music nerd.
Right.
And craft nerd.
Oh, craft.
Not so much a game nerd, although I have played games on the ship.
And there is a craft room.
There is a craft room.
There's an up-close magic room.
There's all sorts of rooms.
There's rooms where people, and there's also, get this, a quiet room. So, shh.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that as well.
We've been reprimanded.
Oh, in the quiet room?
Not me particularly, but the monkeys in general, because people go up there and apparently there's very good coffee there, which makes them very
That's where
excited.
the best coffee is.
That's what I hear.
And, but it's also the quiet room.
Right. Whoops.
And it's also where the only sort of public internet is. Like there's public machines, and there was trouble with the internet the first couple of days. So I went up there because my album just came out.
Right.
And I was like,
you'd like to know stuff.
Right. It's a marketing genius that has the album come out on Friday.
And then
you
go away. Go
internationally onto the ocean on Saturday.
Right.
So, but I was up there and there was 3 very loud people who came into the quiet room to get coffee. And then also, one of them sat down at the internet and then turned to me and said, how do you get on the internet? And I said, you give someone $30.
Right.
And he goes,
you pay for it.
Oh. And then there was this long, poignant pause. And then he said, would you look up the list of characters on Lemony Snicket? And I said, yeah, of course I will. As a request goes, yes.
Sure.
You totally may. And, if that guy had said, can I check my email? I also would have said, yes, you can.
Right.
Because you get 24 hours for $30, and I'm not going to be on for the entire 24 hours. Anyway.
Precisely.
Everyone's been very nice.
Yes.
Here we are with Julie Dixon Jackson, which is at Jules, Jools, Jackson on the Twitter. And then you have a blog, which is called myelusivehistory.blogspot, blogspot.com.
Ooh, it might be .net now that you say that out loud.
Oh, it might be .net.
I'm not sure.
But if you
because I don't pay for it,
to
so.
add Jules Jackson, Jools Jackson, and say
It has
what
a
is
link to it.
It has a link to
Yes.
it. There we
Yes.
go.
There you go.
The internet is connected to all of the other internet.
Yes, it's a
It's
beautiful
kind of
thing.
fascinating, unless of course there's a firewall. We are going to discuss your dorkdom, which is genealogy.
Correct.
Which is hilarious because I said to you, hey, I did 23andMe, and you said, oh, that's a waste of time for people like me, which makes so much sense because it was $200.
Yeah.
And you get exactly $200 worth of genealogy
And then it
research.
ends.
And then it
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah.
And essentially, I found out I'm kind of white.
You're probably, my guess would be 100% European.
Nope.
Nope. What?
I'm half Armenian, so.
Oh, right.
But the thing
Cation.
is, but the thing is, am I half Armenian? No.
Of course
I
not.
am, because first of all, Armenia is on a trade route.
Right.
And there's raping and looting and pillaging.
Sure.
And some consensual sex, I assume, over the last
One has to assume.
6,000. Yeah, somebody had to wanna.
Right.
And in 6,000 years. So what it turns out is that I'm like something like 24% Mediterranean.
Oh, sure.
And 20% like, Middle Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 20% Middle Eastern, 20% Mediterranean, which includes like Italy.
Right.
And then 55% Whitey Magoose.
Sure.
And my husband, he did it as well. 99% white guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Northern European.
Sure.
And then 1% the Jewish thing.
Sure, the Ashkenazi. I have about 3% of the Ashkenazi too.
There you go.
Which
How do you, what
means
what,
nothing really.
What is DNA? What's going to happen?
DNA is this stuff. It's this stuff.
Oh, you're wearing a DNA
I'm wearing
glass?
it because I'm
Yes,
a dork.
because you have a DNA necklace.
Yeah, I do.
DNA necklace.
But you know what? I love having one piece of jewelry that I identify with, but I wear it all the time.
Right.
And I've never been able to find a nice piece of jewelry that I felt comfortable wearing all the time.
Yep.
That I could take a shower in.
Oh, there you
So
go.
I actually spent money on something that I feel strongly about.
There you go. Well played. Well,
you.
I mean, and
Thank
well,
you.
I like
feel good about
jewelry.
it.
I always forget to wear it.
That's
buy it.
exactly, which is why I want something I can't take off. or I
Right.
don't
Like
take
I'll
off.
put earrings in, and then they will be the earrings that I wear for a month.
Of course.
I think that's a lady thing.
You
maybe
can sleep in earrings. I can't sleep in earrings.
I can sleep in earrings.
Yeah.
But you have tiny, just hoop earrings. You could sleep in those. You can't sleep in them.
Nope.
No, because you have very sensitive skin.
I have very sensitive everything. I can't sleep in rings.
You can't even sleep in your ring.
No, my fingers swell up.
Oh, weird.
Especially on a cruise ship.
sounds pretty.
This is not even my wedding ring because
Right.
I have hot dog fingers. So
Me too.
Yeah.
Genetically, that might be where we're from.
a hot dog finger.
Hot dog
place.
finger land.
So going back to
Yeah.
the ethnicity thing,
Yeah.
if you were to do an ancestry DNA test, your ethnicity would be completely different
Oh, from
from 23andMe.
From 20. Oh,
Yes.
really?
And then if you were
Wait.
to upload your raw DNA data to a site called GEDmatch.
Wait a minute. We're backing up, people. Ancestry.
Ancestry.com.
.com.
AncestryDNA.com.
DNA.com.
That's the site that started it all, Ancestry.
Right. They're not living check to check. It's all working out for them.
Yes.
Ancestry.dna.com.
Yes, those Mormons really came through.
Are they Mormons?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I did not know
The
that.
Mormons are the Ancestry ones. They have all the ancestry in the world.
They want to know. So that they
Isn't
can
that
make
interesting?
That is interesting because this is I think it's an offshoot. It's not all that Mormons. Allow me to make
Right.
It's a sweeping statement I'm about to make. But the Mormons are the ones who can turn you into a Mormon once you're dead. Like they go to your grave and they're like, "Oh, you're a Mormon," and they
Yes.
bless your gravesite, and
Right.
then all of a sudden they add you to Mormonism.
That's good to know.
And it's right, because
Right.
there's no way to stop them either. I mean,
Right.
because you're dead.
Yeah.
So and graveyards
So
are
in
public.
perpetuity,
Yes, we're
you're
all
going to be a
Mormon.
Mormon.
Yeah,
Right,
we're all
we all
Mormon.
are. Yeah. So we're all in one of whatever those
Right.
place
So
in the middle is.
Ancestry.dna.com has a thing where you can spit into a deal and then get your ancestry, your DNA.
Yes, you get your DNA, and then you get the purpose of it. Then you get matches with all the people that match you to a certain level. And then if they're nice enough to respond to you, which most of them are not,
Okay.
or nice enough to add a tree, to
Yeah.
attach a tree to their DNA so you
Which
could
most of them
possibly
are.
look. And most of them,
Mixed. Like
Mixed.
people that are into trees are into trees. Kind of. They probably
yes,
do want to add
yes.
you.
And now because it's become such a big deal,
Yeah.
and all over the world, like they just started in Australia, which is a big deal for me because I'm Australian.
Okay.
But people don't really care. They're just doing it for the ethnicity because
Okay.
they think that's going to have all the answers for them, and they don't really care who they match or where they match. So you get a lot of people that says, no tree available or nothing, and then you write to them and say, hey, do you think maybe you have a tree? And most of the time they ignore you.
Okay.
Sometimes you get, I would say out of every 100 times I've messaged somebody, I get maybe 3 responses.
Right. So how many responses have you gotten?
Maybe 10.
So that's 1,000 people that you've contacted.
Oh, yes.
Well played.
Yes.
Anyway, so so what you're doing, 23andMe was $200, and I spit into a thing for a long time,
into a tube,
and then I mail it off to them, and then they send me back 6 weeks later information. Seems very basic information about sort of general areas where that DNA test says that my people might have one time
But it
originated.
also has other tools, like it has a list of other people that you match, and 23andMe is actually worse for responses than Ancestry. So,
interesting. For like other people.
Yes.
Like if you wanted to contact other
say,
folks.
hey, who are you?
We might be related.
Well, we are related.
Oh, interesting.
You are related in some way.
I wonder if anyone's tried to contact me that I've ignored. Probably.
They may have. Yeah. It's happened to me a few times. And I've ended up ignoring a few people because they didn't get it. After
What's a good way?
Well, okay. The percentage that you match somebody, the amount of centimorgans, which is a measurement of DNA.
How do you spell centimorgan?
Centa, and then the M is capitalized.
Centa, C-E-N-T-A?
Centi, no.
No, centi.
C-E-N-T-I, centi, and then Morgan the M is capitalized. So if you're abbreviating it, C-M.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
But centimorgan and centa is a metric.
Yes.
Sure, I could be taught simple tasks. Yeah. And you match people at the centimorgan level?
By centimorgans, or depending on which side it is, what percentage. And most of the people you match are point something percentage, which is not very much.
Okay.
But if you get something closer than a third cousin, preferably a second or a first, or even closer, you have a much better chance of being able to figure out how you're related.
Right.
Because that means because of the amount that you're sharing.
Well, my sister also did it. And then my brother just did it.
Does it say your siblings?
It didn't. It didn't say anything about that.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay.
We both don't know how to read the site.
Maybe
So
I
we
should.
took
Maybe
snapshots.
sometime I should look
Log
at that
into
for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because she did it, and then we got our brother to do it.
Yeah.
And he won't even send us the details because he wants to be more Armenian than we are, and none of us are Armenian.
Oh, so he's in denial.
So of course,
That happens a lot.
Well, of course, because you want
DNA doesn't lie, and people if the
been
results are
lying
not
to
what they
themselves
wanted,
for
they're just
a million years.
They're like, nope, this is fake news.
Right. But yeah, it's because it doesn't matter. I mean, it has decided that we are all human.
Yeah.
And that is good.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, at least we have that.
we have that in common.
We have that,
And we all kind of look vaguely alike, but my sister got like 19% Italian.
Right, but that still doesn't mean we all get 50% of our DNA from our father and 50% from our mother. But we
Right.
get different levels of it from each of them.
Which
And
is
so-
what threw
right.
both of us. And then we went, Aunt Darla and I were like, why aren't we the same? And then Andy
That would make
explained
you twins.
science.
Right.
Yeah. Science is got its own.
Science is hard.
It's got its own explanation.
Yeah.
It turns out for things.
It
and
does. It's a good thing.
we are not twins. We were a year and a half apart.
So you're not even close to
not
twins.
even close
Yeah.
to twins. My
Yeah.
mother psyched. Okay. So ancestry.dna.com is a good place to start.
It has probably, especially in the U.S., the most, the broadest
Input?
database
Okay.
of people that have tested, because it's only as good as the amount of DNA and other testers they have, because that's where they get their information
Okay.
to share with you.
So 23andMe just might have less DNA choices?
They might
or-
have the difference for me, the biggest difference
Yeah.
between 23andMe and Ancestry is that 23andMe has a chromosome browser.
What does that mean?
That means you can punch in other people that match you.
Right.
And look exactly what chromosome they match on.
Okay.
And then if you can find other people that match you on that chromosome as well as them on that chromosome and overlap in that exact space, that means that's called triangulation, and that means you all have an ancestor in common. Yes.
Well, that's kind of neat.
It is, especially for people like me who are adopted.
Okay.
And don't know who their father is.
Oh, so you're like, that's what led you to this.
That's what led me to this.
You're like, I have a rabbit hole that I wish to go down.
I wish to have answers to things
and
that
it doesn't mean that you don't
me.
love your parents.
Thank you. It does not, and it doesn't mean I'm not thankful
and joyful and full of love for the people who raised you.
Yes, but it means that I'm a human.
You're right, exactly. You're like, what happened?
Yeah,
where did it all start?
Yeah. Well, and it got more and more difficult to get answers. It became my life's mission.
Right.
So now it's like I'm not going to stop because I thought at one point I had solved it.
Right. So you were raised in what state?
I was raised in Australia.
You were raised in Australia?
I was raised in Melbourne, Australia.
Now, why didn't you keep that accent? That could have got you laid any number of times. Oh, there you go. You didn't have it.
And I did have an accent, but I lost it very quickly because it was 1980 and I would say something and everybody would look at me and that would make me feel very self-conscious.
Oh, fair enough. Welcome to the JoCo Cruise.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so
exactly.
Wait, so where did you spend the first 14 years of your life? Here?
In Melbourne, Australia.
Oh.
The first 14 years of my life were in Australia. 15, my parents said, hey, now's a good time to move our adolescent children to an entirely new country.
Excellent.
And so we came here, and I have been here ever since.
It's my speculation on why people immigrate is never because they're sitting on a Scrooge McDuck pile of money where they are.
No.
No, it's time to start over.
Although, you know what? My dad
was very successful?
Not very successful, but he had we did okay.
Yeah.
We did okay. Or
so
he
did he get
okay.
a new job? Is that
No. He sold his company to his brother because my adoptive mother was American.
Oh, okay.
And
she wanted to come back to some extent.
And they met at the Hollywood Palladium 20 years earlier.
What is the Hollywood Palladium?
It's a club in Hollywood that's still there.
A dance club?
Yeah. Well, now they have concerts there. It's right across from not the Cinerama, near the Cinerama Dome, but where the,
is it in Hollywood?
Yeah, it's in Hollywood.
It's called the Hollywood Palladium.
Yeah, it's on Hollywood
Los
Boulevard,
Angeles,
I think. Do you?
Yeah. Not anywhere near the Hollywood Palladium.
Yeah, it's right there. It's across from where they shoot all the
Jimmy Kimmel
Nickelodeon stuff. No.
Oh,
no,
Nickelodeon.
No.
Who cares? Turns out later I could look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so they met at the Hollywood
They
Palladium.
met there. My dad was traveling the world.
Was he on walkabout?
My dad was on his walkabout, and with his two buddies. And
so you were born in Australia.
I was born in Australia,
okay.
and then chosen from an orphanage at 2 months old by those people who went baby shopping. I was told, I don't think that's true.
Right, but I love the idea.
Sure.
And so, but you were adopted from Australia by your parents,
yes.
and then raised to them, and then moved to
and then
America.
Moved to this other place here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and then it's all been going along.
And then it went along.
And then when did you start looking into the birth parents?
Okay, so probably when in the late 80s, I went back to Australia and went to a psychic who told me that my mother was somebody famous. And I did not believe that. But
well,
she
we're
did.
all famous to a few people, as
Absolutely.
Joe Wilson says. Please go to we'reallfamoustoafewpeople.com.
Yes.
Go.
Yes. But she did, however, say, well, they have the Adoption Act of 1984.
Here in Australia?
In Australia, where you now have the right to your records. And I said, I did not know that. So
Thank you, psychic.
Thank you, psychic.
She was psychic. She psychically knew that you wanted to know who your birth parents were.
Right. Well, it was strange because she kept saying, well, so your parents are divorced. Your parents are divorced. And I was like, no, my parents are not divorced. She goes, why do I keep getting two sets of parents?
Oh.
But I still don't believe it.
That's fine.
Yeah. I still think it was complete bullshit, but she gave me the information I needed.
And here's the thing about all the hippie skippy stuff. I believe it and I mock it equally. So good for you.
I'll believe it if I want to believe it. And I went because my friend went.
Right.
Walk, but,
and
and it was $20.
Right. I once got my palm read for $4.
Sure.
Woman didn't even look at my hand, and all she said was, "You need to lose weight." And I'm not even kidding. And I told my friend's mom that, and she said, "How much was it?" And I said, "It was $4." She said, "Well, you got your money's worth then, didn't you?"
Wow. Wow.
Out loud to my face. And fair enough. It's fine. She didn't know me. She's never going to see me.
It's fair at all.
No, you didn't think that was fair? You thought it was inappropriate?
I would have throat punched her. You did much better than me. So.
It made me laugh.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So you went and looked into it.
So I looked into it.
So you got some information.
And I took a couple years because apparently, even though it's who you are, they need to evaluate whether or not you're allowed to know who you are.
Oh, it's a bureaucracy. So
Yes.
it took a while. Okay.
Yeah, because, so the thing is, it's a strange thing because I grew up with a fake birth certificate. Even though it was all legal, but the government
just generated something.
The government generated something that says this person was born to these people on this date, which is not true at all.
Right. That seems like
It's
that's
fake.
a weird.
And I can travel internationally with that, but it's a lie.
Well, I think it's a construct to make it legal. Is what it sounds like. It sounds like another bureaucratic move.
Yes.
To do something, and you're like, but yet that information is not.
And yet
accurate.
that is not the truth at all.
Yeah.
At the same, just like when you're in third grade and we're all going to do our family trees today. And
Oh, right.
the little kid that's adopted says, well, and they're like, well, you need to, this is how we find out our heritage. I'm like, but this is not my heritage. Why am I doing this? And it becomes, and that's the first time.
It becomes a thing that you start obsessed.
Yes. And then you start going, well, how come you look like that person? And who do you take after? And who do I take after?
Right. Because they're children. And children, of course, super kind.
Yes, very nice. They say things like, you're not real, you're adopted. Or adopted, as it was said.
Nice. And I love the term, you're not real.
No,
That's
you're not
fantastic.
real because you don't have parents and
you don't know who they are.
Right.
So, and yet, you were picked as a beautiful flower by people who genuinely wanted you with the heart of the sun.
That is true. However, yes. I beg to differ on the you were chosen thing because I was not chosen. They had to take me whether they wanted me or not.
They didn't even want a kid?
No, they did want a kid, but they didn't want this kid. They just wanted a kid.
Yeah, which means
my point is I was not chosen. I specifically was not chosen. The lie is that they're saying we wanted you, but no, they wanted a baby, and I happened to be available. So I was not chosen per se.
That is a self-esteem conundrum that you have built a castle in the sand there.
Indeed. And the only reason I know that is because I read a lot of other things by adoptees and they told me that.
Everyone
and now
has
I can't
that
stop
same
thinking
feel.
about it. Right.
Yeah. You're just like, there's this weird feeling of inadequacy that has been placed upon you.
Absolutely.
And then if you buy into it, it can drive you nuts.
And for some, it depends on how you are raised and how it's been presented to you and what and how enmeshed you are with your family and how similar you are to them. I know plenty of adoptees that it's never been a problem for them at all. My own brother is in denial that he's adopted.
Okay.
But in
or
my
he's processed
case,
it in a different way.
Or he's not processed it at all.
Or at all.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think that's more like it. I could tell you stories. Because in my situation, I'm from Mars, my parents are from Venus, we couldn't be any more different.
Right.
So it was like, oh, okay. What? I'm not allowed to talk this loud? Oh, okay. So I want to sing a song. No, we don't sing. Okay. It was very obvious that one of these things is not like the others.
Right. I'm the youngest of 6. Your experience is not adopted. Your experience is just living in a house with people that you have nothing in common with.
It is,
I wouldn't hang out with any of these people.
Yes.
If
Understood.
I was not related to them or raised with them.
Well, that has happened with my newly found biological family as well.
Of course. Well, that's I think all we get to some extent with this genealogy is that we are all human.
Yeah.
And that's why there's like this whole movement in the last 20 years of you create your family, man. You create it. All
Which
your
is
friends
true.
are your friends. Of course.
Yeah.
And I see how I believe it, but I make fun of it. Shrewd.
what we
Anyway,
do.
so
Yeah.
okay, so you got the paperwork eventually.
So I got the paperwork, and there was actually a lot of information, like the name I was given at birth, my mother's name, my father's name.
Okay.
What my mother looked like and
you
her
have the
hobbies.
names of your biological parents.
Yes, or the names that my mother wrote down as my biological parents.
There you go.
And my mother's address at the time I was born. So I actually had an address.
Right.
And it said that she had 5 brothers and sisters, and she was from a town about 40 miles from where I grew up, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Long story short, I found her in about 24 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
And by calling, well, this was the late 80s, so I called the international operator.
Did you go, does this look familiar?
I called her, I called the international operator, and they connected me to the operator, the information operator for the town that she grew up in.
Right.
And her last name was Price, which is a pretty common name.
Yep.
So I said, give me all the L prices on your list.
Yeah.
And so I just started going down the list. Second person I talked to said, well, that's my husband. So,
No.
you know, and she said, but you know, I went to school with a Lynette Price.
Oh, there you
I
go.
said, oh, well, where was that? And she told me, and I said, how old would she be? And she gave me the age. I said, think that's her.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what? You're calling from so far away. Why don't you call back in 24 hours? And I'll see what I can find out. I said,
Oh, she did some local footwork for you? Yeah. That was very nice.
Australians do that. Australians will do anything for me, I have discovered.
Yes. And people, quite honestly, are genuinely nice.
Yes.
So, I've always counted on this kindness of strangers, you guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, sew that on a pillow.
Yeah.
So, then when, I don't mean to skip ahead.
Yep.
But we are at 25 minutes.
I know.
When did you spit into a test tube?
So I spit into the tube, only about 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you did it all sort of legwork genealogy-wise.
Yeah, because the DNA, I didn't really discover the benefit of DNA myself. Until then, I did just the regular genealogy. I just started building a tree on Ancestry and, you know, trying to go about it that way and looking for the person that my mother said was my father and seeing if I could find. And it was virtually impossible to find him. And I thought she made him up.
Right.
And so I kept going to her and saying, look, I know that you may be trying to hide something, but, you know, I'm a big girl. I can take whatever it is. And blah, she's always like, no, this is it. This is him.
No, I was, and the fact that we try to protect these dudes and is something genetically, I think, also coded into women where you're just like, no, he's busy. What? Wait,
right.
I'm sorry.
He had stuff to do.
How about
so
some child support? No? Okay.
Yeah.
And, but all right.
Yeah.
So did you, so you did it old school.
I did old school.
But you had the internet. Or you
I
did
had
not
the interwebs. Well, I didn't in the 80s. And then I didn't begin the daddy search until after I started having kids.
Okay.
Because all of a sudden I was like, hey, they're a part of both of us, these kids.
Right,
these
they
kids
might be
here.
interested.
And I'm kind of obsessed with them, and I, you know, would like to be able to share something about their heritage to them,
right,
as well. And then I started going back into the daddy search, and it was one of those things where I did it very analogically. It's not a word.
Yeah.
You know, and every few months I'd go back and there was still nothing, and there was, you know, and I had a few things I'm like, well, that could be him because that person lived at that address and she lived at that address at that time, but that's probably his mother. So I'd found what I thought were probably his parents.
Okay.
But that was from the 60s. So So I just kept going, and I couldn't find them in any of the electoral rolls, which is how you find people in Australia.
Yep.
And I certainly couldn't find him. Come to find out, he was in another state that doesn't release the electoral rolls. So there's
okay.
Yeah.
But there are only 25 million people in Australia. So
Right.
you, throughout the course of your life, could look for, hey, how about you? Anyway.
Could it be anyone? His name was Cummings, so anyone named Cummings, I was like,
okay.
So where are you from?
Yeah.
And there was actually there's actually a comedian in Australia called Mad Dog Malcolm Cummings.
Okay.
And his name is Malcolm Cummings.
Yeah.
So for a while I was like, oh my God, my dad's a comedian.
Or he's related.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, not him.
Okay.
Thank God, because he was a terrible comedian. So
I'm sure he was doing the best he could.
he did what he could.
Exactly.
He was,
We're all trying.
I did not come from him
because his material was not as bright as I needed
subpar.
it to be. So
Really.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
yeah.
Fast forward again to a few years later, I'd been getting closer and closer, and I finally started. Oh, after my DNA came back on Ancestry, which the admixture was different than what it is on 23andMe, and that said that I was like 50% Irish.
Yep.
And you know, smaller percentages. And on Ancestry, I'm actually not British at all.
There's no British Islands? There's no English?
There is, but it is emphasized as Irish, which is Scots Irish and parts of England.
Right.
Whereas my mother's says she has British Isles on hers.
Right.
But I have more Irish on mine.
So your biological mother did this DNA thing too.
Yes, I made her do that.
And then
spit
and let us check.
Well, and
hers comes out much more English.
Yes, it's more Irish too.
Okay.
But there's English in hers and there's not English in mine.
Well, there's so much. There was so much. It wasn't cool to be Irish.
Oh, precisely.
Yeah. So you would say when you moved away from Ireland, "Oh, I'm not Irish.
You're British.
I'm something else."
Yes.
And it's only recently that everyone's like, "I'm a
Everybody wants
crazy
to be Irish now.
stereotypical Irish,
Right.
whatever."
Right.
And
so when I found that out,
yeah.
I started. I dyed my hair red. And
nice.
decided I'm Irish after all.
Exactly.
And
I'm getting a 4-leaf clover tattoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And literally was like, well, it appears I'm Irish. Actually would go and look in the trees. This is before I understood how to read DNA. Mm-hmm. And I would look in people's trees. And at one point, and I kid you not, at one point, somebody's tree went all the way back to a very well-known person in Tudor times, England. And I'm a bit of an Anglophile.
Yeah.
So
Seamus
I knew
O'Shanagan
who this person was.
or whatever.
No, he was the guy. If you ever watched The Tudors, he was the guy with the eye patch.
What's his name?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Damn it.
Eye patch guy. Watch The Tudors. It's on television.
He was married to a very well-known Irish royalty. He married into this Irish royalty family, who eventually moved to North Carolina. And expanded from there. So anyone that was Irish that had people in North Carolina and Ireland, I was convinced I was of that family.
Right.
I was of that line.
Right.
My friend who has been into genealogy longer than me, when I told her that, she said, "Slow down there." She said,
"We all come from Cleopatra."
Yes.
Stop talking.
She goes, "You got to back down."
The acronym. Wait, why am I talking? Anyway, it's a new acronym.
It's good. I like
it. I just learned it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I learned it because turns out I needed to learn it.
Yeah.
So sad. Okay, so someone let me in on it.
That felt good. I bet.
Right, but it was fine, and so it made me laugh. So so how did you learn to read DNA?
I spent a lot of time on YouTube and a lot of time on other sites. There's a lot of Facebook pages that
There's a lot of
explain
how-to
it.
kind of things?
There's a lot of how-to. There's a lot of forums on 23andMe. I learned a lot of my information on the 23andMe forums, which are better than the Ancestry DNA forums. So there's that for 23andMe.
Right. How much is the DNA test on Ancestry DNA?
100.
Just $100. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they have sales all the time. So,
coupons.
Like right around Christmas, they had a sale for $69.
Okay.
And so I bought 3.
Oh, to do it again and again and again?
Oh, I've sent several complete strangers DNA tests and they have taken them for me. Every single one of them. Nobody has ever refused to take a DNA test.
Because it's kind of fascinating. It's
I
just,
guess.
Yeah.
Or again, I'm the stranger whisperer. I can convince them to do this stuff that the average person would be like, "You're doing what now?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right. So
all right.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward
to
one day after I discovered I was Irish, or supposedly Irish, I found somebody whose name was Cummings that also had Irish genealogy, and she was in Australia. And I just wrote to her knowing that we wouldn't have anything.
That it wouldn't work.
That it wouldn't be it. But I said, "Hey, do you have this person and this person in your tree by any chance?"
Right.
And knowing that she wouldn't, however, what happened was she is much better at searching than I am.
Oh, because she's also a genealogy dork.
Yes, and she knows how to use the Australian birth, death, marriages,
okay,
blah, 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 which I had punched in several times, these people's names, and had never come up with anything.
Right.
She had done it the right way.
Okay.
And she found my grandparents' marriage reference.
Okay. Wow.
Like those two people's names who I'd found in the...
So your father's parents.
So my father's parents. So I was like, well, okay, so that really was them.
Right.
And I now had my grandmother's maiden name.
Oh, there you go.
And that was when it all took off.
That's when it opens up.
That's when
the
it opened
back.
up, and it had a slightly unusual last name. So I did what I do, and I started calling people with that name again.
Nice.
And I found, maybe my third phone call, I found my father's cousin.
Okay.
And they said, why, yes. We haven't seen him in a few years, but yep.
He's alive.
That's him.
He's walking around.
I think he's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was alive 3 years ago.
Right. And I started by saying, hey, does the name Isaac Brunt mean anything to you?
Okay, because he was going by not Cummings, but
No.
Brunt?
His grandfather's name was Isaac Brunt.
Okay.
And that was also her great-grandfather's name or her grandfather's name or something. And so I just threw out those names to see if I was talking to the right Brunts. She said, well, yes, that's my husband's grandfather. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, so then this person too? And yeah. So I said, so did your husband have an aunt named Arlene? Mm-hmm. Why, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, did she have a son named Malcolm? Uh-huh. And I said, okay, we need to stop. Let me tell you what's happening right now.
I love the fact that, so you don't explain who you are when you start asking these questions?
No, I don't, because I just tell them that I'm looking that I'm researching.
Right, because otherwise.
Something. Because otherwise, if they're too close to that person, they might shut down because they want to protect them.
They might shut down, but the weird thing is like if somebody called me up and said, hey, are you related to Scott Cation? Mm-hmm. I'd be like,
who are you?
Who are you?
and who's asking?
Who's asking? And is this a scam?
Right.
So do you get any scam talk? Like, are people worried about the scam?
I think they will. But like I said, my special magical voice convinces
Your
people
unicorn
that
magic.
Yeah. I have a unicorn magical phone manner.
Excellent. That people are on board. They're like, I get it.
They're right on board. They're
It'll
like,
be fine.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Long story short,
Yeah.
that was him. And they hadn't spoken to him in 10 years. However, they told me his kids' names. I went on Facebook and I found his kids.
Oh, there you go.
And I found his
sister,
who
would be your half siblings.
It would be my half siblings.
Okay.
Found his, and I also found his sister, who I knew was his sister because my aunt was at her birth.
Okay.
That's how close.
Right. Those two families are.
They were.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I have so little information about them. However, one day my aunt said, well, your grandmother had this baby out of the blue.
Yeah.
And we named her Kim.
Yep.
K-Y-M.
Okay.
So I saw that
person's name was Kim with it.
They were there and there was a Kim there. And I said, well, that's my family right there.
That's it.
So then I contacted Kim.
Yep. So which would be your father's sister.
Which would be my father's half sister, actually, but yes.
Okay. Yes. And so was your father passed away by the time you did this?
Nope.
But he was not on Facebook.
He is what he's known as a Luddite.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, and
that's how he introduced himself to me.
Oh, he was like, I'm not on Facebook because I'm a Luddite. Fair enough.
Well, first of all, he said, you know what a Luddite is? I'm like, no, do tell. And
yeah, my brain's attached to the rest of me.
Yes.
And so I'm on the internet. It turns out I know
I'm
what a
on the
Luddite
interwebs. I can look it up. How about you? Right.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of fascinating. So you found them, which means that did you go back? Mm-hmm. How far back do you ever see Ancestry, Genealogy Ancestry, or it's like Antique Roadshow. It's called Genealogy Roadshow.
Genealogy Roadshow. Yes, of course. Yeah. I watch all the shows.
But there's only like 4 of them.
Yep.
There's only like 4 episodes, but it was fascinating because it was the same people who did Antique Roadshow.
Well, there's that, and there's also Who Do You Think You Are, and there's one, another one called, I can't remember his name.
But just on like Deep Cable or PBS?
PBS. That one's on PBS.
Okay.
There's several. There are also many international Who Do You Think You Are type shows, and I watch them all on YouTube.
Fair enough.
I'm obsessed.
Right. So wait, what is GEDmatch?
Okay. GEDmatch is a free site that is run by a bunch of genealogy nerds or DNA nerds.
Sure.
And it's a
JED
database,
match?
JED match.
Got it.
And it's free. Mm-hmm. You can download your raw data from 23andMe or from Ancestry DNA.
Okay.
And you can plug it in there.
Right.
And you will get a list of all your matches.
Okay.
And their email addresses.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
And that's per chromosome or?
It has a chromosome browser.
Okay.
And it also, if you donate a certain amount of money a month, you get extra tools.
Okay.
and they will.
So they will accept your money. Yes.
They will, but it's very
but
nominal
they're cool.
and so worth it.
Yeah.
There's also another site called Family Tree DNA, which is a whole other thing too. And
that's a good one,
and that's a good one too. There's more European people in that one.
Okay.
But again, the more people that test, the easier it's going to be for everybody.
Right. It's weird because you're like, there's no like main. And granted, this has some sort of spooky dystopian future feel to it when if all the information was in one place. But if all the information were in one place,
right,
it would be amazing. Right?
Well, sure. For us, and especially people are really squeamish about their DNA because they don't know what we're going to do with it. And the bottom line is we can't do anything with it except for uncover your secrets.
Oh, wait a minute. That is something.
Yes.
What do you mean? I'm not going to do anything with it except for uncover your secrets.
Right. Well, here.
What kind of secrets?
Well, what has happened in the traditional genealogy community since the onslaught of DNA testing is that people have discovered that they are not who they thought they were. And this man is not my uncle, and this person was not, because it appears that they have NPEs? NP.
What might it stand for?
NPI. NPEs. Non-parental events.
Okay.
That means it's not your parent.
Oh.
Basically.
I like that they've decided to make it an acronym instead of saying, hey, your mom got sick of your dad's bullshit and decided to fuck the mailman.
Well, they generalized it more because you can find them as far back as 5 generations.
Right.
And that can screw up your entire family tree.
Right. Oh, right. So if your great ended up being with other people, but that was married to someone else, the genealogy would be slightly off. Is what you're saying? It would be,
and you would not be matching people that you're supposed to match.
Okay. But wouldn't you match half? Like if
yes, but that's where percentages and centimorgans come in.
Okay.
So you're supposed to be my first cousin. How come you're
not?
That? How come I only have enough centimorgans for you to be a third cousin?
Oh, interesting.
It's because we don't share enough DNA to be a first cousin.
Okay.
And also, you don't match any of those people that I do that are closer to me. That's a giveaway too.
Yeah,
because DNA doesn't lie. It can be confusing and it's not an exact science, but it does not lie.
How can it be confusing? Like, if you're reading it wrong, or
it can be confusing because the percentages are not exact.
Okay.
So, you can have, here's an example. I have 2, I've been back to my mother's family's side of the family to break through that brick wall because I can't find how they got to Australia. And I did discover who her third great grandparents were.
Right.
And I have through DNA discovered their other offspring. So I have several cousins now that are third cousins one time removed. What have you, and that do not, and some of them match me on a lower level than some of the others.
What is the removed? What's the
removed?
removing?
Is removed by generation. In other words, if I were your first, like they would be my mother's first cousins 3 times removed.
Hang on.
Okay.
Let's simplify this.
Okay.
My father has no siblings. My father has a first cousin who is his mother's sister's daughter. So my grandma and her sister each had children.
Yes.
Right? They are first cousins, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my dad, who had no siblings, those are his first cousins. Those children.
Yes. They're his first
aunts.
cousins.
Yeah, they're his first cousins.
Yes.
So those people are not my first cousins. They're my first cousins once removed?
Correct. When I was a kid, we always said second cousins, but it actually is generational. So, for example, these people that I have found.
I think we always said second cousins, and we always
because we don't know what removed means.
Right, and I think we called them aunt and uncle. Right. So it was fine. Sure. Yeah. What are second cousins? Are they
second cousins? It means it's another generation. Okay.
Wait.
If it's okay. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. So
I don't know how to break it down. My head hurts.
Right, okay,
now.
Yeah, fair enough. So my grandmother and her sister each had kids, and those are first cousins. So and
then they're second cousins to you. Oh, I wish I had a chart in front of me. It's much easier to
No
explain
worries.
it.
Turns out
Sorry.
I will look it up. I'm
Go
not
for
above it.
It's even, I have the charts permanently in my computer because I can never remember it, and I have to physically go,
That's how that does.
Yes.
But the removed is generational.
The removed is generational. So Sam Price, my cousin, I call him my cousin Sam Price, is my mother's first cousin 3 times removed because her second great grandfather and his second great grandfather are siblings.
Okay.
Or were cousins. And so
It came down in
the generation.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't have that in my head.
Yeah, I know.
But
Me
fair
neither,
enough.
really.
So it's kind of fascinating that, and it can cause, I imagine it could cause trouble. I mean, the thing is one of my siblings he gets some shit because me and him look more like my mother's side of the family than my father's side of the family. The rest of my siblings all look like they're like the cookie cutters of my dad.
Right.
And I have my dad's eyes.
Right.
And my brother Scott does not.
Right.
My dad is the spitting image of our maternal grandfather. And so, we had like cousins who'd be like, your mom slept around. And I was like, my dad was constantly sleeping around. So if she did, good for her. And, second of all, he's my brother. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, you can know the answer to that just by looking at your DNA.
I gotta have to look at his DNA too, wouldn't I?
Yes, but his DNA should be, depending on what his settings are in 23andMe. If he checked, sure, I'll share this. He should be on your list as close family of relatives on 23andMe. We'll look at it sometime.
Right. No,
I'll show you where to go.
We have our email addresses now.
Sure.
So it'll all work out.
Yes.
And, and there's part of me that's like, well, does he need to know that? I mean, you know what?
Right.
I don't even have to ask, does he need to know that? Because it's his question.
Precisely.
Right?
You don't need to bring it to him unless he
brings it to me. I don't bring it to him. He's a grown-up man, it turns out.
Yes.
And a good guy. And my brother, so is as irritating as he's always been.
Right.
So, fuck those people is what I've always thought as a child.
Me too.
Until I could articulate the words, fuck those people.
Yeah.
And, you're like, come on, man. And, you're just like, we don't and Brian Regan does this bit about, Brian Regan's a very funny comic.
I love him. Yeah.
He's a wonderful human. He is one of 7 children. And his youngest brother, he's like, if you are from a big family, you will find this funny. He did that the last time I worked with him. If you are not from a big family, you may want to go out and take a lap because you will not find this funny. Right. And he said, we used to tell our youngest brother that we had one older brother that when he was born, he left and we hated him. And my brothers would pretend to call from that brother that he had moved to Australia. It was like, oh, do you want to talk to whatever? And he's like, no, I don't. And I was like, that is the cruelest fucking thing in the world.
That is so cruel, but that's what kids do.
That is exactly what kids do and siblings
kids
do.
Kids are assholes.
But now that we're all 40, please stop doing that to your siblings.
Don't do it now. Yeah. Just be kind.
Right. Try to figure something out.
Yeah.
Just keep it together out there. Why are you such a dingbat?
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah. So how far back can you go?
On my mother's side, I've gone back 5 generations.
Is that 1800s? What is that?
Yeah, that's early to mid 1850s.
Okay, 1850s.
Yes.
See, Andy's family, my fella, they all came to the United States. And when I went to Mississippi to meet his family, they took me to the graveyard to meet the rest of his family and made me laugh so hard. And I was like, well, thank God we've met these people. We've met these stones. And
graveyards are really only good for genealogists. I mean,
Andy loves an old graveyard because he likes the idea that stone was placed there in the 1700s. He likes the idea that
I do too.
Someone's looking at it
because I'm a genealogist,
right? Because you're a genealogy dork, and and then his, I think it was his great whatever landed in New Orleans from Ireland.
Sure.
And he was immediately conscripted into the Confederate Army.
Right.
If he had come from Ireland and landed at Ellis Island, he would have been immediately conscripted into the Union Army.
Right.
So that's the fascinating part of it because his family, parts of his family are like, well, we're Southern. Like I asked him what his ancestry was and he said, well, we're Southern. And I was like, I don't know that that's a thing.
That's
Is that a thing?
Not very specific.
Well, except for that, I have met people from the southern United States who think of it as an ancestry. Who think
absolutely.
of it as
No.
And they're super specific to it.
Most
it's like,
of
well,
the
that's how it
trees.
is.
Yeah.
In the South.
Yes.
And
yes.
you're like, calm down. Everyone has butter.
Yes.
But I am always of the opinion, because people are always like, only women do all like this. Women are like this. This is, that's Armenian time. And I was like, I've heard black people say that. I've heard Irish people say that. I've heard Russians say it. It turns out it's a human experience. And I know you want to put us all in a fucking box, but don't be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so because I know idiot women. And
do you?
I do. I've met some idiot women, you guys. Not all of them are feminists. Yeah, it's I don't invite them to the house. No. It turns out
I avoid them
on purpose
at all costs. Sure,
but I've met and I've met feminist men, mostly guys that are not going, hey, I'm a male feminist. I saw somebody post today. They said that they identified as it's Solomon Giorgio, very funny comic. He said, if you identify as a male feminist, know that you're putting your maleness before their feminism.
Right.
Holy shit. I was like, I've never even thought of that.
Yeah. Wow. That's like, yeah. That's good. I like it.
I'm a white person that believes Black Lives Matter. Right. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Shh, hush,
yeah.
hush.
Just, you don't stop saying the words.
Yeah,
stop saying more words.
Just do the thing.
Less is more.
Do the good, be the good person.
Talk less, smile more.
Yeah. Just try to be a white lady meat shield and look, white lady meat shield. I did it myself. Okay. So, 1850s, where were they? Were they in Australia?
They were, that particular faction of the family they came to Australia, it appears, during the gold rush, because that's when we had the gold rush in Australia as well as.
I've been to Kalgoorlie,
that's where my mother lived when I found her.
Really? Was she a hoe?
She was not a hoe.
She was not a hoe?
She was not a hoe.
Because the streets of Kalgoorlie are paved with whorehouses.
Yes, there are still legal whorehouses in the streets of Kalgoorlie. I
was there 10 years ago.
Because they forgot to change the laws, because it was another gold mining town, and that's...
It's the super pit is in Kalgoorlie.
I've been in the super pit. I've been down under the ground.
I have been around the super pit where I looked and I thought to myself, this is too big of a pit. That's exactly. I did not think that, by the way, when I saw the Grand Canyon. I thought, nature made this. How pretty.
Right.
Kalgoorlie, I was like, too big of a pit, you guys. Yes. What do you do with all the dirt?
In the middle of the desert.
And
so. No, that's weird that she was living in Western Australia.
And I thought it was funny about the whorehouses that you could go to, the brothels, and you could tour them.
It's
you could spend $35.
Though, doesn't it feel just...
It was so gross. We went there. We took a bunch of comics and everybody. We were like, and I said, it actually is a horrible vibe in here. I don't like it. Yeah. And I went into the gift shop because you could. And I was like, maybe I'll just go to the gift shop. And I went to the gift shop and I was like, not a dime. These people get not one fucking penny. And then, because the outside of the whorehouse that we went to, was like Sears from the 1960s.
Do they still have the windows where they're like
where there were mannequins?
They were, when I was there were actual women looking so bored.
Oh, thank God there were no actual women. These were mannequins dressed in ball gowns.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I was like, can you get that? Can you just screw that thing? Because that's a lot. Anyway, and then we went to a bar it was a topless bar, and I was the only woman on the tour, of course. And then the manager, the tour manager, and she and I were both clothed, and we got hit on more than everybody because men were like, I wonder what's underneath that shirt. And hilariously, because men are people. And they're like, no, I don't want the thing that's available. People want the thing that isn't available. Yes, of
course. It's the hunt.
What do your nipples look like?
Oh, my God.
Well, they look like nipples, my friend. Wow. Anyway, so...
Wow.
Anyway, so where did they come from? In the Gold Rush? Ireland? Can't figure it out?
Here's the problem. Mm-hmm. What I've discovered is that my third great-grandfather, whose name was Alexander Price, according to everybody's birth certificates, was from Norway. Alexander Price, not a Norwegian name.
There you go.
So we think he changed his name.
Fair enough. Now, here's a weird adoption thing. My grandmother was from Norway. Mm-hmm. Wait, no, she wasn't.
Oh.
Her parents
Finland?
were from
Sweden?
Norway.
Okay.
She was adopted.
Yep. Oh, okay.
So she was adopted by Norwegians who lived in Milwaukee,
Oh, yeah.
who needed
you
someone
do.
to do some heavy lifting, I was told. The adoption process was not, oh, I wanted you, or even I wanted a child. They said, I wanted a worker bee.
Oh,
and so my grandmother was adopted so that she could become someone's maid. And,
Oh, my God.
but,
Yeah.
then my grandmother, so my grandmother was raised by her whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother married a guy named Ryan, and then they had a bunch of kids. And then one of those kids was my birth mother, who passed away when I was very young.
Right.
Which
I know that from your comedy act, which is strange.
Yes. Did you see first show or second show?
Second.
Oh, good for you. You got to hear the Irish goodbye joke.
Yes.
It
made me very happy.
Yes.
Your whole set made me just so happy.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah. Hey, Rangers, I got a new album out. You probably know that. It's called I Am Not the Hero of This Story. And you should go out and purchase that in all of its forms. Sometimes, by the time this gets dropped, I should have hard copies of the CD on JackieCation.com. Oh, it's an ad near the end of the program.
See what you did there?
Now, I am talking, by the way, to Julie Dixon Jackson, who is at Jules Jackson, Jules being spelled Jools Jackson. A link to her blog is on that Twitter feed.
Tis.
But it might be myelusivehistory.blogspot.com or
Probably
it might be
net.
.net.
I think it's net.
Fair enough. But look under My Elusive History and then Google the words My Elusive History and Julie Dixon Jackson probably.
Also, if you Google "Are you my father?" it might come up. Stranger things
so
have
you
come
talk
up.
to him.
Okay. There's a big twist in this. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to wait until for people to read it?
Oh, that's all your call. Now, you guys, spoiler alert. We're about to find out about Julie Dixon Jackson's father. And you want to tell it or do you want them to read it?
I'll tell it.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell. So yeah, I went back to Australia and this was 2 years ago and I met him. I had spoken to him several times over Skype. He was just a huge blowhard, pain in the ass, pathological liar person, which was very unfortunate because I couldn't get a straight answer out of him.
Yeah.
He told the craziest lies and thought that I would believe
And he's
them.
from outside of Melbourne? Does he live outside
He's from
of
Melbourne.
He lives in Melbourne?
Yeah, he
Okay.
doesn't. No, he's from Melbourne, but he lives in Adelaide now.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
All right.
Which is why I couldn't find him. But he told me I couldn't find him because the government wouldn't let him be in the electoral rolls because the Russians might kill him. That's all you need to know.
Oh my God, that is the biography of so many of our fathers.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
My condolences.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
next up,
Thank you.
go.
So that was the bottom line. What I did in the next few months was connect with the rest of his family that weren't crazy and went to Australia and had no less than 4 reunions
Oh, wow.
with his
With various
kids.
humans that you were related to.
Yes, with his kids, and I told them a lot of stuff about their families they never knew about
Because you
that
have
I discovered because
right.
I know everything
you
about
have a shovel. Yes.
Correct. So I did a road trip with my best friend from childhood, and we went to Adelaide, and then we drove the Great Ocean Road, and we went to my grandmother's last living sister.
Do you have dual citizenship because of the first 15?
Yes.
Good for you. Anyway,
Thank
go.
you. And I went there, and then I went to Geelong to see the Brunts, and then I went to Melbourne to see the other Cummings people. 1, 2, 3,
Did you have a real nice cup
5
of
reunions.
flat white? Did you have a flat white when you were there?
I did not.
Nice cup of coffee?
Yeah,
anyway,
no.
they have excellent coffee in Melbourne. Anyway, so...
Not known for its coffee. That's new.
They're also known for I'm a Hawkeye fan, so it's AFL.
I don't know what that means.
Australian rules football.
I know. I'm a Western Bulldogs fan.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
You mean the Hawks?
And the Hawks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I call them the Hawkeyes
You know,
because
my
I don't know
team-
enough about sports to actually be a
Sure.
fan.
My team
I
won
may
the
have to
grand
edit
final
that.
this year. No, please leave it. No, the Western Bulldogs won the grand final this year for the first time in 50 years, and it was huge.
That is huge. Because really I'm just a fan of the game.
Yeah.
And so I have
It's
a
fun.
bunch of hats. Like I have an Adelaide hat, and I have a
love
Hawks
it.
hat, and I have a...
Hawks used to be called Hawthorn. They all had different
That's
names when
right.
I was a kid.
Okay.
We could do should we talk about Aussie rules next?
Well, and right. And I had I learned what the rules of Aussie rules because I read a children's series called Specky McGee. And it was about Specky McGee who wanted to be an NFL star. And, he had spectacular catches, as you can imagine, because his name was Specky.
Wait a minute.
Have you ever read Specky McGee?
There was another there. I may have.
His family was fucked up.
Specky.
When
was this written? Was it written in the 70s?
No, it's probably 12, 13 years old.
There was something in the 70s very similar that had a football player.
The fiction that I read when I was in Australia.
It's bizarro.
It is bizarro because and as is the comedy in Australia, because I love it. Because Australians don't know that anyone's watching. So they're like, I'm going to do whatever I want because we're so far away. And you're like, the internet's alive.
They don't get it.
They don't.
Yes.
And it's so awesome because I saw so much amazing stand-up comedy and I read the craziest fiction in the world. There was this series set about this dirtbag who was sort of a good guy, but sort of not. And he was like a bouncer, in Sydney and he solved crimes. And,
okay.
Sure. Why not? It was a Spencer for Hire, but with it was from Bondi. He worked in Bondi.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, please. Someone should correct me at all times. Anyway, so you went on the tour, right. The Twist.
I did the tour, the Twist. Was there for 3 weeks. Had a grand old time. Came back exhausted. Right before Christmas, New Year's Day, Dad's DNA came back. Not my dad.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Why have I laughed out loud?
Because hard. Everybody does. Because they either laugh or cry.
Right. Here's the good news. You're not related to the blowhard.
True. However,
you just met 32 people that you thought...
way more than that. And I also outed this poor guy as being a complete asshole to the rest of his family.
They probably knew that.
Some of them didn't. Well, because he's a pathological liar. Pathological liars cut people out of their lives as soon as they get onto them. And so...
That's why he lives in Adelaide.
Exactly.
Next up?
Precisely.
Over by that giant rock.
Gone. Yeah. All these people, not my family. I know about the murder-suicides in their family. I outed those things. I know about...
So now you have to start over?
Yeah. I started over, and I am no closer than I was. Now,
3 years ago.
Strictly because I, of course, called my mother, and I said, hey, here's something weird.
Right. Maybe you did sleep with that guy.
Yeah.
But who else did you sleep with?
She swears.
She slept with no one?
She slept with the only two people she has ever slept with were... Malcolm Cummings.
Yeah.
John Beckton, her now husband, who she met while she was pregnant with me and married 3 months after I was born. Clincher, he's Irish, 100% Irish, and he's short. She is 5'9.5".
Have you sent him a DNA kit?
Of course I have.
Did he do it?
Yes, he did. He is not my dad.
Oh.
Yeah, and I would have had 3 full siblings.
Right.
Yeah. But no, he's not my dad. Kind of glad about that.
Well, here's this,
so she this is a weird thing because.
Have you only slept with 2 men?
No.
Exactly. Hi.
But she's very, okay, here's the thing.
Very proper.
I thought that there were, there's either a big, big, big secret that the whole family would fall apart if it came out.
Well, my stepmother always insisted that she only slept with my dad. And I was like, come on.
Come on.
First of all, I hope that isn't true. Right. And second of all, come on. You saw Malcolm X speak.
For their sake. I mean,
she accidentally saw Malcolm X speak. Yeah, because she went to a party, but it was a dance party. And before there was a political event. Oh. And she just wanted to dance.
Like the political event opened
yeah,
for the dance party.
Yeah, she was like, there was going to be this dance, and she went with a bunch of friends of hers, and she was like, she became very political because she saw Malcolm X speak.
Her.
Yeah, completely.
That's something.
She was like, look at this guy. Holy crap, this guy has access to some information that, as a Polish-Irish child from Cudahy, Wisconsin, I was never given.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And, well, let me tell you something. It has been an hour.
It has.
Yes. Julie Dixon Jackson, this has been fascinating. I will have you on again when
When
first of all,
find
we
him?
could discuss.
When
You could
somebody-
either you find him or you want to discuss crocheting. God knows. And there's 1,000 dorkdoms on this boat, and this was one of them.
Many. This
And
was
when
one
I
of
say 1,000, I mean 1,780.
Yeah, because yes, each individual one. is
Yes,
their own dork.
very easily. Thank you so much for doing the Dork Forest.
Thanks for having me.
And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?